Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. My name is Felicia, and today I'm going to show you how I made this really pretty scarf or shawl. Hey y'all, so we're going to create this shawl slash scarf using the Roll With It Melange yarn by Red Heart. This is a 4-weight yarn and it is a beautiful colorway. It's called Showtime, and I'm going to be using a 5.5mm crochet hook. Keep in mind guys, this is not a tightly woven yarn, so you do have to work with the yarn a little bit, but I think it turned out really pretty. I believe this pattern is perfect for my advanced beginners, intermediate, mainly because of the yarn that I chose to use. But if you're comfortable doing a double crochet stitch, I think you'll be able to work this project quite easily. So this is going to be worked widthwise. So you're going to do a chain of 69 to start. That's going to be our width. So just yarn over, pull through. You'll do a chain of 69 until you get to the desired width for the project. Now keep in mind, remember this is really a scarf slash shawl, so you can wear it really wide for like a cool night, and then you can also make it a scarf as well. So the first things first is we're going to start with the foundation row, count over 4 stitches in the foundation chain, and in the 4th stitch you're going to do your first double crochet stitch. So remember earlier I said that you will want to be comfortable doing a double crochet stitch, but I will show you here on camera how to do it. Okay, so essentially what we've done here is we've already created 2 double crochet stitches right here at the beginning. You're going to do a chain of 3, and this part that I'm showing right here is really the repeater row for the repeater pattern for this row. So you do a chain of 3, you're going to skip 3, and into the 4th stitch you're going to do a double crochet stitch. Okay. This pattern is very similar to the box shell pattern, which I don't know if I have a tutorial up on my channel for that or not, but it's very similar to that. I just do a little variation to it, so it's not quite the same. Okay, in the next stitch, next to the double crochet that we just created, we're going to do another double crochet. And again, this pattern that I'm teaching you right here is the repeater for the entire row. Okay. So that now that you have that, you can tell you have 2 at the beginning, a chain of 3, you'll have 2 more double crochets. Now we're going to do another chain of 3. We're going to skip 3. And in the 4th stitch there, you're going to do another double crochet. Okay. Next to this double crochet, you're going to do another double crochet in the next stitch. Okay. And at this point, go ahead and pause the video if you want to, and just keep working until you get towards the end, and I'll show you what to do at the end. Okay, so at the very end of the row, you should have left 5 stitches. If you don't, that's okay. You're not ruining your project. Just make sure you get 2 double crochets in that very last stitch if you don't have the number of stitches that you need. Okay, so essentially we're just finishing out the pattern where we want to end the row with 2 double crochets. Ideally side by side in 2 side-by-side stitches, but if you don't have it because you miscounted, which is easy to happen, just make sure you get 2 in that very end stitch and your pattern will still be okay. Okay, that's what it should be looking like. Okay, so let's move on to row 2. You're going to do a chain of 3. Now row 2 and row 3, which I'm going to show you, are your repeater rows for this entire project. So you'll do your chain of 3 and you'll turn your work. Okay, now if you look here, we have created this really large gap, a really large open space. In that open space, we're always going to do 5 double crochet stitches. So once you do this row and forevermore until we finish a project, when you have that open space area, you're going to do 5 double crochet stitches. Okay, I'm going to do one more. See how that looks? Okay, so we're not even going to do a chain or anything. We're going to go straight into that next open space and do another set of 5 double crochet stitches. So basically you have a cluster of 5 double crochet stitches in every space across. This is row 2, which will repeat row 2 for this entire project, alternating between row 2 and row 3. I'll show you what I mean, okay? So do 5 double crochet stitches in the open spaces all the way to the end of the row. This is what it will look like as you continue to work over here on the screen, but you're going to just keep working until we get to that point, okay? And again, we're working this widthwise, so my scarf slash shawl is really long. It's like 109 inches. So I've done this for a lot of rows, and I'll put the exact count and everything on the pattern, which will be over on my website. So in the very last stitch of this row, you're going to do 1 double crochet stitch. So you've done this all the way across and you're at the very last stitch. Do 1 double crochet stitch so it matches the beginning of the row. Okay. We're on to row 3 now, and so you're going to do a chain of 3, turn your work. Okay, so this is our second repeat for the pattern. So row 2 is a repeat, row 3 is a repeat. You're going to alternate in between those two. So what I did was at the beginning of the row, I do 2 double crochet stitches. You can put them in the same space like I've done here, or you can put it in the very first stitch, and it will work out fine either way. Whatever you choose to do, just do that through the entire project. Okay, so you'll have 2 double crochet stitches at the beginning of the row. You're going to chain 3, and in the very last stitch of that double crochet from the previous row, you're going to do a double crochet stitch. I hope that's not confusing. I'll show you again. Do another double crochet stitch right there next to the one you just created. You see I have a cluster, so I'm looking at this as a cluster of 5. You're going to put a double crochet stitch in the first part of the cluster and the last part of the cluster with the chain of 3 in between. I hope that makes sense. So we do a chain of 3, find the last part of your cluster of 5. You're going to do a double crochet stitch right there. That makes sense. So you're skipping over 4 double crochets, and in that last double crochet you're going to do a double crochet. I know that probably doesn't make sense. Just follow the screen though. I think it's a little bit clearer. See, we're skipping 1, 2, 3, 4, and that last stitch you're going to do a double crochet. And in the first stitch, first double crochet of the next cluster, you're going to do a double crochet. We're creating the space for the next row. Does that make sense, where we're going to work our double crochets? See what this looks like? You see the pattern yet? You're repeating that the entire part. So if you don't get this, guys, please rewind the video and rewatch this, because I'm not gonna keep doing it because it's a pattern. So row 2 and row 3 are your patterns. At the end of row 3, you want to end with a double crochet. Two double crochets. I'm sorry, 2 double crochets. Okay, I'm going to do one more over here in the end. So remember that chain of 3, you're going to make sure you get a double crochet in the chain of 3 so that you have a complete set. You started the row with 2 double crochets, you're going to end the row with 2 double crochets. Okay? See how that looks? You want to complete it, you want it to be nice and neat. Do a chain of 3, turn your work. Remember, these chains of 3 that we're creating, those are double crochets. They're the same height as a double crochet, and that's what you're doing, okay? Turn your work, and then you're going to do 5 double crochets in the open space. And you're going to continue doing that throughout the entire project. So you really get comfortable doing it. It will make a lot of sense the more you work it. And if you're a fast crocheter, you can get finished with this really quickly. Just for me, I am a leisure crocheter, so it takes me a lot longer to do projects, but this isn't a hard one, so it shouldn't take you that long to complete if you just like to get in and get things done. Okay, so all the way down this row here, you're going to do 5 double crochet stitches in the open space. Okay, and just keep doing that all the way down the row. Now, as you've worked it, your project should have grown to look something like this. I used a total of 2 skeins of yarn to do this project, and I should have said that in the beginning, and I may go back and put it, but I used 2 skeins of this yarn, which is about 389 yards per skein. Okay, so I brought you back on camera with me so that you can see how we end this whole project. We want to end it the way we started it. So in that case, that is row 3, I believe. So there's nothing new here. I'm just showing you how I ended it, but because you've gotten this far, you probably know how to do this row. But again, it's just a chain of 3 to get to that row, and then you're skipping over the cluster of 5, going into the last stitch, and then the next stitch you'll do another double crochet, and you'll do that all the way down the row. So again, you're just making the end of the project look the same way it looks at the beginning of the project, so that it looks really balanced, neat, and complete. Guys, I really love this colorway. I bought it a long time ago, but I did have to go back and order another skein of it, and it was on Amazon at the time that I did it, so I think you can still get this colorway. Again, this is called sorry guys, it's actually called Showtime. It is from Red Heart. It's 389 yards per skein, and I used a total of 3. You only need 2 for the project, but because I decided I wanted to put a border on it, I ended up using like 2 and like not even a half, but maybe 2 and a 1/4 of the other skein. Okay, so again, I think this is pretty enough that you do not need a border. Because I'm wearing this as a shawl, I decided to go ahead and put a border on it, and I'm going to show you how to do that. So at the very end, you want to just cut your yarn and then tie off the end, making a little knot at the end, and then just weaving your tail back through, and any tail that you might have from, you know, adding more yarn to the project. So just weave all those in. So now I'm going to just show you how to do the border. Again, completely optional, and if you choose to do a border, you are going to need to buy another skein of yarn, because this project did guzzle up some yarn, and you'll need more in order to create the border around along the sides. But it doesn't need it. It really doesn't. It's so pretty without it. But I'll show you what I did. Okay, so you're going to turn your project so that you're working it horizontally now. Again, grabbing your new skein of yarn, you're going to connect the yarn to the side. So however you connect the yarn, I'll show you how I did it here. This is really just however you want to get it on. Just tie a knot, you know, tie the yarn to the end, and then you're going to start crocheting. I did something weird here where I did a double crochet stitch. I wouldn't have done that. I don't know what I was doing on camera, but you can just do a chain of 3, which again counts as a double crochet, and you can get this project part. You can get this part of the project started. But if you follow the screen here on what I did, I basically just started making a double crochet stitch. I don't know why I did it this way. I really don't. Just do a chain of 3 and then move on to your double crochet. Okay, this works too, but a chain of 3 would have probably just been easier. I'm not sure why I did it like this. Okay, moving on from that, you're going to do 2 double crochet stitches in each row, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. Okay, so you remember where we had the cluster row, and then we had the row that just had the 2 at the very beginning. In between those 2 stitches, I do 2 double crochets, and I'll show you. I'll turn the project so you can kind of see what I'm talking about. So we're going to do 2 at the beginning, just 2 for every row. You see here, that is the cluster 4. Remember, we had that 1 at the very end. In between the cluster and that 1, I'm going to do 2 double crochets. Borders are truly optional, and it's the way you choose to do it. Consistency really is the key. So whatever you start doing, make sure you do it on both sides so that it looks neat and finished. Okay, so Again, I'm going to do 2 double crochets there. Just want it to look complete, and you don't want it to look like you didn't have a pattern or a thought process with it. So this is how I did the border. You don't have to have a border, and you don't have to do the border like this. It was just easier for me to make it look consistent and neat by doing 2 double crochets in each of those spaces. Okay, see how that looks? And it will look more uniform the more you do, and a little bit more polished. Okay, so see how I'm showing you there, in between each row is where I do 2 double crochet stitches. Okay, and then once you get to the end, just like you did for the end of the project, you're gonna cut the yarn and you're going to just tie it off. There's 2 strings at the end here, probably from the way I ended or started this project. You can tie those 2 together and then weave them back through, or you can just weave them back through individually. And when I say weave it back through, I mean just taking a yarn needle and just moving the yarn back through the project so that it blends in. Okay, so that's the border, and this is what it looks like as a final project. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comment section down below, and I hope you guys have a wonderful day. I will see you in my next video, and I'll put the pattern over on my website. Bye, y'all.